Hi again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart. Today is Thursday, May 15th, 2014, and this is Stock Market Analysis Today. All right, the Dow was down 167 points, and down a little bit more, a little over 200 at some of the low during the day. I think it hit it a couple of times, but so now we've had this pullback into the rising wedge in here. My best count on this is that we have an ending diagonal wedge, okay? We are getting these zigzag type patterns in between, which is exactly what the waves of an ending diagonal need to be. This one's a little bit funky in here, but it could easily be an A, B, C type thing. And we've got five waves, similar type thing on the S&P 500, although not quite as wedgy as this one is in terms of this diagonal. So the real test is going to be, now do we get follow through? Okay, do we break this lower end and down here and start to come out? If we break down through here, we are going to test here, this level, pretty quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, a downdraft of this type of move coming out of this thing, just because we've been hanging up here for so long. So we'll see. I mean, look at the downdrafts when we did get downdrafts, here, here, here. This one was choppy. This was more of a solid A, B, C. So we'll have to watch and see what happens here. The next one, S&P 500. Remember we talked about how this was very compressed day. Compression leads to expansion. This was a pause at the very top, and then we rolled over. And it was interesting because I remember I commented that we really just pulled right back to this trend line, which is a little bit different than the Dow, because I'd had this trend line drawn in here, and it kind of pulled back, but it pulled back over it as it did this pullover, okay, of the trend line. So the S&P, more of a pure pullback to the trend line, and now it's pulling down in here. It did kind of break the trend of these two low points. If you take a trend out to the right here, New York Composite, it's going to be a similar type look in terms of the drop that's occurring. Now, when you think about the Nasdaq and you think about the New York Composite, you think about the Russell 2000, especially the Russell 2000, a similar type of scenario. And the Russell 2000 is all the way down here, okay? So this is probably going to play catch up. And it's going to be interesting to see how fast does it play catch up to catch up with what the Nasdaq and the Russell 2000 are doing in terms of leading us down. So when you go to the Nasdaq, we're back to the same picture. Remember I talked about this complex head and shoulders. I talked about these 3 points over here, 3 points here. And, we've got this move down now towards this trend line. We break through here, and we're going to come down through here and challenge this neckline. We're right at the 233-day moving average. So this is setting up. It looks like it's setting up. Now it could do something funky and just totally reverse, but right now it sure looks like it's setting up. The Russell 2000 came down literally the low at this point here on February 5th, 1082.72. The low today, 1082.53. So it went, 9.19 points below this point here. I wouldn't call that significant. In my mind, this is a tie. It basically came right down to this point and turned right around. Now, in a traditional, in the broadening top, when the top is considered to be in, is when this point gets broken. I don't think it's been broken yet. But if it does, with a move down into here, I think we have to consider that the top is in. Now, many times, there's a certain percentage, I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head, you'll move down in here, take out this point, and then you'll get a reflex rally back up in here. And it might even come back halfway or, up into this area. We'll have to watch and just see how the waves and how the trading occurs. Okay, those are the markets. That's where we stand. The short-term trading index, look at the big move on this trend today. short-term trading index. I call it the trend. It's either trend, short-term trading index. It goes by the same thing. All the way up to a 2.8 intraday reading when the Dow was over 200 points and everything was going negative, just similar to this type of thing. But we closed in here at 1.76. We got the 10 starting to move up, but we're still in neutral zone in terms of a reading. Volatility bounced up. We talked about how low this was, and then now it's bounced. Now, sometimes when you come off the bottom down here, you get a spike and pullback. You get a rally and a pullback. You get a rally and a pullback. You get a rally and a pullback, rally and a pullback. So, we're getting a little bit of a rally here in this VIX. If the pattern holds that what it's done before coming off of this low level, we might get another day or two and then pulls back. So we'll have to watch to see. And of course, if we do that and then we get a pullback, it'll be interesting to see if we then set up with a bullish divergence in here for the VIX, which would be negative for the market. All right. High-low indicator. The high-low indicator went net negative, so more new lows today. Again, not surprising with being down 160 some points. Only the second time since that January downdraft have we had that. The last time was April 11th. So second day where new highs exceeded new lows. So we're starting to break down. Okay, we're going to take a look at the solar stocks today. I'm going to take a look at 4: Canadian Solar, Jinkosolar, First Solar, and Solarcity. Start off with Canadian Solar. Canadian Solar looked in terms of a correction. I thought that it was doing a little ABC in here. That's why I've got a C as a question mark. I thought this might be a bottom, hitting the 233-day moving average. Started to rally, it's pulled back. You can almost say that this is a potential little wave 1 and a wave 2 pullback as long as this doesn't go below here, because wave 2 can never go below the beginning of wave 1. Okay, so if we're starting a new wave up, this can't go below here. Now, so if this does go below here, then all bets are off, and we're in this downdraft, and right now it looks negative. It looks like it's rolling over. So I don't know that I'm really getting any other type of reading out of this. I did think we had 5 waves up. I mean, this was an all-time low, $1.95 on Canadian Solar back here, November 15th, 2012. I do think we had 5 waves up, and I do think we're in a corrective mode here. This may not be enough in terms of the correction. We'll have to watch and just see. The next one we're going to take a look at is Jinkosolar. Okay, this one is interesting because it looks like a complex head and shoulders. I thought we had just like a sideways consolidation going on, but the more I looked at it, the more this looks like a head and shoulders type deal. The symmetry seems to be in here fairly nice with the shoulder, dual head. So I'm calling this a complex head and shoulders. A dual head and then another shoulder over here, and we're pulling down. We're drafting down here. So we break this, then what you do is you measure the height of the head to the neckline, and you measure it down here, and this is where the projected minimum move would be on that, which is about just under $15, let's call it. So we're currently at $23.85. That's my best assessment, although we are right at the 233. Don't know if that's going to be enough to hold support in here or not, but we'll have to watch. It breaks this neckline, I think it's going to go. So that's my assessment of where we're at on Jinkosolar. On First Solar. First Solar is another one that's a little interesting. It looks like it's doing corrective action just because corrective waves always overlap. Okay, impulsive waves do not. Corrective waves always overlap. So this is a little bit of impulsive move in here. They're not overlapping, and then all of a sudden we get this overlapping move occurring. And take a look at a bigger picture of this. Okay, here's when it first became public back here. What is this? 2006. So it goes all the way up to $300 a share in early 2008. It comes all the way back down here to around $12, $13 a share in 2012. And so you had this huge downdraft. This looks like a pullback type move, especially since we're getting these overlapping waves right now. You could almost draw a rising wedge in here, and I started to, but then I thought the wedge is just a little too big. I felt like that was just a little too much time. So my best picture is to just say it looks like it's overlapping. It's starting to break down. If it takes out this trend line, it's going to, you know, start breaking down even further and faster. So that's my best assessment of First Solar at this point. And the last is Solarcity. Solarcity is another one where I thought, you know, when you look at some of these pullbacks, pull back to the 10. So it's dropping in here, pulls back to the 10. You could have maybe sold the break of the previous 2-day low right in here off this pullback, and you had a nice little move. Okay, well then it does it again, and it rallies above the 10, above the blue line, and now you still have the 10 below the 21, below the 55. Okay, and you then, you know, you could do it again. Well, now we've got a third time with the moving averages still aligned negative. And I was tempted, I saw this yesterday, I was tempted to do this, but I felt like, okay, 3 times in a row, maybe pushing it. And we are getting some divergence in here. And it's over about a month time period on the DI minus and the RSI. You can see how these do not go to a lower low. So the divergence is saying, and you're getting a little bit on the demand index. So the divergence is saying that this move is weakening. And then you had this big trend line in here, about a 6 to 7 week trend line. And each time after it broke it, it pulled back to the trend line, started to rally, pulled back to the trend line, and now it rallied again. So we could get a move up off of this. We'll just have to see. It's hard to tell. I mean, right now this looks negative. Just closed down below the 10. The moving averages are aligned negatively. I'd have a hard time jumping in, you know, I would not say buy this. Okay, there's not a buy signal here. If anything, it's a sell signal, and some of these sell signals, and I'm not giving one here, that's not a trade idea, but it is surprising some of the moves that are happening to the downside right now in terms of the follow through, when you kind of think, well, is that going to go or not? And then all of a sudden, like X1 today. Let's just, you know, I want to pull that one up just for grins because I talked about that yesterday. I mean, look at that today. Okay. I talked about how I thought maybe we were in this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And the whole thing about, you know, if you don't go below this low, this, you know, we could turn and go. But, you know, again, I mean, look at this move. I think the earnings came out or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but. All right, well, that's it for tonight. So we talked about the solar stocks, those 4 solar stocks. We looked at the market. We got one more day tomorrow. Everyone have a great Friday, and I'll be back with you on the weekend. This has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. Share the video, share the post, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed so you get access to the Trade Ideas webpage and follow Beyond the Chart and join the tribe. All right, thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.